Lads. Lads, welcome to a new live stream. I am here. I'm going to bring him straight in because we're going to be talking about where it all went wrong this season. We all know it's been a horrendous season. We all know we've not enjoyed it one little bit, but let's pinpoint where it all went wrong. We've got a lot of people coming on today, going to be talking about different areas, get a lot of different sort of opinions on where it all went wrong, because you've been hearing me and my friend Alexander Hal Stewart talk about it all season long. So let's get a few other people talking about it, shall we, Hal?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I also think there's one or two bits of housekeeping, Nick, some things we've probably got to discuss, because it's what all Blades are going to be talking about, that plans to appoint Alexander Blessing as the next Blades boss have been dealt a bit of a blow. EU citizens wanting to work in English football have got to apply for a visa, something we covered on the video that was released yesterday, but we understand Blessing's application has been turned down. Now, he can appeal this decision. It also looks like we have a shortlist of 5 managerial names. Whether he is still on that shortlist or not, we just don't know.
We don't know, mate, do we?
Don't even know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We could just go on like this for the next hour, couldn't we?
Should.
We don't know.
Don't know. So many things we don't know, and that's one of them.
Yeah, but what we do know is that apparently Paul Heckingbottom is one of those on that list. They've said he's done exemplary. I can't say that word. Go on.
Exemplary
work as the Sheffield United manager. I wouldn't say that. He's done okay, but has he done enough to deserve to go on that list? We don't know.
We don't even know. We'll just tilt our heads towards each other because
we don't know.
What we do know is this is a fans forum looking at the season 2021 where Sheffield United have been relegated from the Premier League. We are asking you, in your opinion, what went wrong? Now, it's probably easier to look at what hasn't gone wrong, but please do share your thoughts in the live chat if you're watching live. If you're watching this later, pop your comments below. One of us, Nick, reads them all. Please do like and subscribe. If you're keen to appear with us on future fans forums, follow us on social media at Sheffield United Way and drop us a DM. We will have an end of season fans forum, which is the big one. But without further ado, let's welcome our first panelist, which is Kieran Gray. Hello, Kieran.
Hal, you're all right?
You're
all right.
How are we doing, Kieran? You all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
I've come up with a chant for you, Kieran. You ready?
Make sure it's I think
clean.
My wife and maybe my son's watching it, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking Kieran Gray. Kieran Gray. Ole, ole. Kieran Gray.
Yeah, that'll do.
I think that really works. So, Kieran, thank you very much for being part of this fans forum. Your first appearance here. Did you feel that the Blades would have a season like we have just endured?
I think anybody who says they did is probably lying. I'll be honest. I got, I think, 43 points and 14th was my bet. But numbers is my thing. I love digging into all the sort of statistics, especially historical ones. There was a big one that stood out for me. So we only conceded 39 goals last year. There's only 9 teams in Premier League history who've conceded less than 40 and finished outside the top 6. There's only 15 teams in total since 1950 in the top division. Every single one of them went on to concede at least 50 the next year. We're never going to have that defensive record again. So we needed to find goals. And I don't really think we did anything to address it. It's quite eerie. The big comp is Burnley in 2018. They won the same amount of games as us, drew and lost the same amount. Conceded 39, scored 36, ended up on 54 points. Season after, they got 40 points and conceded 68. So the signs were there that we were never going to have the same defensive record, and we had to go and look to score 50 plus. And we just didn't create chances. I mean, post Boxing Day last year, I think we scored 16 in 20 games until the end of the season. and 8 of those came against Bournemouth, and those 2 mad games against Chelsea and Spurs at home after lockdown. We just didn't do anything to address it. So the signs were there. There was always going to be some regression. I know people will talk about Brewster and things like that, but the lad had only played 22 games. I know he'd scored a few goals, but he's a kid. He's not actually got any history as an adult footballer. It was a massive risk, and as we can see, it's not paid off. And who knows if he's a good player? I know there's a lot of people think he'll come good, but will he? I mean, there's not a lot of evidence so far, to be honest. I hope
we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Obviously not. Obviously not. But it's hand on heart. There's no way I thought we could go down. And I'll be honest, I think Wilder would still be here if we'd just been a normal amount of terrible. It's just a special amount of terrible that we've been. It killed everyone. There's no way you can carry on when you're losing 80% of your games. So.
Yeah, in all honesty, mate, I thought we were going to do worse. But yeah, like you say, nowhere near as terrible as what we've done. But there's a few different factors to it, isn't it? We've not just been terrible overnight. The injuries have certainly been a factor, but how much of a factor do you think they've been this season?
I think it's a bit of a cop-out, to be honest. I think from January onwards, there's no one left. I think us 3 were being lined up to sit on bench some of the weeks. But pre that, I mean, JLC is obviously the big one. Realistically, how many points are we thinking Jack O'Connell's worth for a full season? It's not more than 6. I just don't believe it. He's a fantastic player, but he's not more than that. And I just think the issues were there with or without him. The regression in the rest of the team. Maybe it's a bit of a snowball effect from him not being there. But the signs were there that things needed to be addressed. Teams are defending us completely differently. The flooding wide areas with defenders because they know we'll not attack the middle of the pitch. So the things that had served us so well in promotion and then the first 2/3 of the first season in the top division are gone. And we needed to go and do something else. So, I do think it's a little bit of a cop-out. I think, like I said, post-January, everybody had gone. But everything had gone by that point. Confidence, it just all disappeared. But I think pre that was a reasonably strong squad after the best transfer window in the club's history, as I think Chris Wilder said. And I do. I think it's a bit of a cop-out.
Hey, Nick, do you remember one of the first times we spoke, I used the term regression. And you were like, have you just made that word up? And I just love hearing Kieran just finally prove to me that is not a word that I'm the only human on earth that uses. So thank you. It's because Kieran and I, we're into our analytics and our sabermetrics and those.
Are you into your analytics after Jay threw you under
bus? Don't. Yeah. So Blades Analytic had quite rightly just called me out on the video we did about Jokanovic versus Blessing, where I may have got 1 or 2 of my explanations about analytics incorrect. But that's just like his opinion, man. To quote the
we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. I clearly don't know. Kieran, are there any positives you can take from this season?
It's nearly over. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a positive. Being in the Championship, we might actually win a couple of games. That'd be nice. But realistic ones, I think Bogle's a big positive. He looks like a proper footballer and he can attack, which is something that we've been missing. Dizzy's a superhero. You can't get away. Apart from Brian Dean, I think he's my favourite ever United player now. He's absolute hero. He's brilliant. It's Ramsdale as well. I think after his almost disaster-like start to the season, to turn it back around from where he was, massive strength of character. I still think it was a strange signing when we had a small budget to spend so much on a keeper, but I think he's proved himself to be a solid mid-table Premier League keeper. And I mean, it may be that he's the sort of player that do we move him on or not if we need those transfer funds in, I'm not sure. But Bogle and Didzy, to be honest, are the 2 that I would say we turn bids down for. Everybody else, if they meet the price we're looking for, move them on and we start and we build again. I know some people talk about the squad we've got sticking around in the Championship. Personally, I think it's come to the end of its run, and I don't know how anybody turns around from losing every single week to being good again. It must be. We slag them off and things like that, players and managers. It must be absolutely miserable turning up to a job you can't do every single week. So, I mean, fair play for putting the effort in all season, but Yeah, in terms of positives, I'd say Didsey, Bogle, Ramsdale, and the season nearly being over.
I think I know where this is going, Kieran, but for a season review sort of rating, what would you give it out of 10? You can't say minus.
Two. I'll say two, just based on the fact that we won at Old Trafford, which, as brilliant as last season was, we didn't have a real signature win. I could say maybe Chelsea and Spurs, but they were odd games. Winning at Old Trafford was surreal. I mean, Burke's goal was odd for a start. He can barely kick the ball, the lad. But it was surreal. But yeah, 2 out of 10, I'd go with.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. Kieran, great. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll get you on again in the future. Top man, good to speak to him. I really enjoyed that. He's got good opinions. He speaks very well, Nick, and I think it's hard to disagree with anything he said. And the fact that he used the term regression means that he's my new favourite person.
Yeah, I think so. Especially after the regression remark. It's never going to happen again, Hal.
It might happen again, and we're also welcoming back. This is the first person that we will have, and indeed the last, who's been on a fans forum before. David Taylor. Actually, you were also part of our favourite 11 Blades video that we did.
I was indeed, and I stand by every single choice I made in that, despite the commentaries.
It's one of my favourite ever videos. We did that and didn't get the views. I mean, you're all here now because we're talking negative, aren't you? We're all here now.
Like leeches.
Exactly. Yeah. But David from Dem Blades, welcome back.
Pleasure to be here. Honour to be back.
Yeah, we had a great time, didn't we, the last time we all got together. So let's carry that on. But before we do that, we need to talk about, obviously, what's gone wrong this season. So
do we?
Shall we just stop and just chat about old times instead? Pesky Solido and
Solido again, yeah.
How do we get the same player then? How do we do it? So let's talk about the COVID pandemic. How much of a factor was that to our relegation? Obviously, it happened last season, and then we were awful coming back. What happened, David?
I don't know whether you can put much of the blame on being so catastrophically poor this season on the COVID restrictions and no fans, because granted, we do have a stronger connection with the team because of the last 4 or 5 years, and also because we're just naturally the best fan base in the country. No argument there. But everyone else had they were in the same boat. I get the argument that, yeah, we had such a connection, so maybe we had more of an impact. But at the same time, it was so apocalyptically much worse than anyone else that I don't think you can put it down to that. I think it was a mixture of things. I think COVID was definitely an aspect, but I'm going to be controversial here, and I'm going to say already, and I'm going to say that the most impactful incident for me was the loss of Jack O'Connell. I do think for a season and a quarter, without him, you could see the drop off. It coincided with the lack of fans, yes, but you could see such a huge cliff edge drop from playing quite well to not really playing at all. I get in terms of actually winning points, he might not win games on his own, but for me, he's potentially the best player in the squad, and his role was so central to how we played. And even if teams were starting to work us out, they still couldn't really stop it. I remember 2 or 3 games before the COVID restriction came in, where O'Connell was still there, where they would double up on O'Connell, double up on Basham, and they still got through. And without him there, the balance of the entire team has completely gone to dust. I love Basham. I think he's a fantastic player. But if all of your players going down one wing, it's all going to be focused there, and the opposition are just going to put 2 or 3 men there, and that's it. And this isn't to slander any of the other players who've played in left centre-back, because it's such a specialist role that we were never going to be able to replicate that. So I do think his loss was one of the biggest impacts, and I cannot wait to see him bombing down the wing again next season. I just can't wait. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most.
I just want to make a little point. The fact that obviously we lost Jack O'Connell. we also saw a massive drop off of Ender Stevens going from being one of our best players to being one of our worst players. And John Fleck had that broken back, or whatever we always reference, and had a really, really poor kind of, well, more than a few games. So we were best going down that left-hand side. And you take out 3 of our best players on that left-hand side, it completely ruins the squad, doesn't it? So
that's the issue. I think because there was such a tightly knit group of players, if you lose one, it's going to have a huge impact. Then you lose 2 or 3, and then the disastrous run of injuries that we've had this season as well. You're not going to have anywhere near the same impact in terms of a squad going forward because you don't have that squad.
Completely agree. You just got to hope that when Jack O'Connell comes back, because it has been such a serious injury, that he can still be the Jack O'Connell of old and be that Jack Van Dijk. He's that important to us, just as Liverpool fans will tell you Virgil is to them. But David, what has been the biggest disappointment for you personally when you look at this season as a whole?
That's a big question. To me, at the start of the season, I was looking at United do the training videos. They're really good, insightful, behind the scenes stuff. And at the start of the season, I was looking at them, and it looked like it might have just been the editing, but it looked like there was more time spent on the rollers on the floor than there was playing in 5-a-side matches against each other. It felt like the intensity had dropped a little bit, and whether that was due to intensity dropping across the board, across the teams because of lack of fans and things, it did seem to worry me. And it seems to have been a theme throughout the season that, yes, everyone is trying very hard. I never say that a player is not trying their best, but the lack of intensity, I think a slight edge was lost, and that disappointed me. And I think the loss of identity slightly disappointed me, because they've had such a strong identity and such a strong ethos going forward and defending, that the lack of intensity led to this disappearance of an identity that we all have grown to love and really connected to. And so I hope that identity comes back in some form next season, maybe with fans cheering there. They can regain a bit of that, because it was a disappointment.
Yeah, we also had a bit of a disappointment that Chris Wilder ended up leaving Sheffield United, whether he was slightly more pushed or whether he was slightly left more of his own accord. Do you think he would have left on his own accord had the results been better?
I don't think he would have. Right, in this season, I think a lot of us were hoping, he's going to do a Fergie, he's going to be here 10, 15 years, etc. I don't think that would have ever happened, judging by what you can see from the outside, the relationship between everyone at the top, be it the manager, assistant, boardroom, whatever. I think it was very much a borrowed time situation. But I think because he had such power behind him in terms of the fan base, if he'd got us, say, 15th or something like that, 15th, 16th, he'd still be there. He'd still, at least for another season, because it would have been even more of a disaster PR-wise for the board to sack him or for him to leave then.
Yeah.
I think it would have clung on for a while, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it was inevitable that eventually, over the next 2 or 3 years, people were going to part ways, I think.
So sad, and so sort of sliding doorsy moments that could have gone another way. And had we kicked on this season like last season, I've no doubt Chris Wilder would actually still be here. And I think a lot of us would have preferred that, certainly, to the way it's all ended. But David, we've got to get you back on again. Thank you so much. And just tell people about Den Blades fanzine before you go, buddy.
Yeah, so Den Blades, hopefully a few of you know about it. It is Sheffield United's most widely read fanzine. Don't look that up, but I'm going to say it. Anybody can write for us. Just get in touch with us via Twitter at @dem_blades, or get in touch with me at @dembladesdavid and write for us. And we're putting together at the moment a special Wilder edition of the fanzine, and we're getting some. Everyone can write for us and contribute to this to give him a proper tribute. But we're also getting some interesting people in to give us their thoughts as well. So watch this space with that. That should be out just before the end of the season.
Fantastic. I love that fanzine. Some of the writing in there is really top drawer.
Yeah, some really great writers, aren't
Some
there?
really great writers in there. Yeah,
I can't think of any.
Can't think of any off the top of my head, but some really good writers. David, thank you again.
Well, thanks a lot.
Cheers, buddy.
See you, mate.
I always like getting David on. I could listen to him talk for quite some time. Again, the video he did with us about our favourite blades, it's one of the best. You can find it on our channel. It was the most fun video I think we did all season, Nick.
What about us too? Don't we have that connection? Don't we have?
Just
do
because
we have to bring a third person in?
No, the subject matter.
I know, I'm only messing. It was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. And do you know what? There was very little that we actually edited out because it was all great stuff. And we
weirdly,
just bounced off each other.
You and me, we had almost exactly the same team.
Yeah, make about what you will. Yeah.
Indeed. Let's welcome Ewan, Pablo,
lads.
Payne.
Well, I just thought I'd put Pablo in because everyone else has got a funny nickname, so that's what people call me. So
well, fun fact, I've never had a nickname.
Well,
Hal is kind of a nickname.
It's not. It's my name, but okay.
It's not your first name, though, is it?
All right, no, it's my middle name, but anyone who saw Sheffield Live's Nathan Hemmingham will now know my first name. As I popped up on that, well worth a watch as well. Ewan, thank you very, very much for being part of the fans forum.
That's fun. No, it's good to join you at last.
What do you believe was the single biggest reason Sheffield United had such a poor season?
$1 million question, isn't it? I mean, Kieran explained it really well. I don't know how I can quite follow that. I think I had to agree with him that the whole thing about Jack O'Connell, yes, we've missed him. Don't get me wrong, but for me, it's always been about creativity, getting the goals. That's been a problem for a while now. I think I mentioned in the last video for you guys about how many big chances we created this season to last season. So I think for me, we've sort of failed in that department, and that can splinter off into other things. You look at recruitment, you look at underperforming players who should have that creative edge, not doing the bit. So for me, it's really that creativity. We never really addressed that. I think we've got a style of football that's extremely well coached. You could see that on the pitch. Is a really well manufactured style of play. So when it came to the big league, like the Premier League, they didn't quite know how to set up against us. And then, the elite teams figure out a way to get around that, which has sort of proven the case this year. So I think Kieran was right. There was always, you never have that sort of brilliant second season of defensive solidity. Obviously, we've not been helped with people like Jock out and things like that. So, really, if we were going to have any chance of maintaining our status this year, we had to address, creativity, big chances, and creating as many chances as we can to get as many goals as we can.
Yeah, it's nice to see different opinions because David was definitely of the contra opinion. So, just want to ask you about Chris Wilder and what were your thoughts on him leaving?
Just massively disappointed. The part of me felt like that they could have found a way to move forward and stuff, but obviously we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So obviously you don't want it to continue if it's gonna lead to sort of bad things and stuff. So it's one of those things. We'll just have to move on from it. It's been a brilliant chapter in Sheffield United's history. A sad one that is gone. And I think, like you guys have said on previous videos and pods and what have you, you've just got to move on to the next man and just give him back in.
Yeah, I completely agree. We're always about that, aren't we, Nick?
Yep, definitely.
So, Ewan, did any players impress you this season?
Yeah, there's not a massive list, is there?
I'm glad you said have any impressed you rather than who impressed you.
Obviously, Bogle, he's shown great skill, speed, and an eye for goal. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's been pulling up trees recently, but he's nonetheless been good. Ramos obviously had a dodgy first half of the season, to put it politely, but then he's obviously gone away and worked at his game, and he's been brilliant. Ozzy, tireless, tenacious, exactly what Blades fans love to see. His quality isn't always quite there at times, but I think the last 2 games has been really good, because I think what we've missed is that sort of press and intensity in the sort of final third, and he gives that. Yeah, he might not end up doing anything great with it, but it can create panic and create mistakes. So I think he's been good. And well, who else? I was going to sort of throw a bit of a weird one in there and sort of say Keane Bryan. I know he's not a great player, but I think given where he's come from and the sort of situation he's had to come in, I don't think you could have asked any more of him. So, in fairness to him, he's done all right. I don't think he's one I'd sort of naturally keep, but I think he seems like a nice bloke. So I hope he goes on to do well after his career at United.
Can we just say ho Keane Bryan for a second? Because I feel like we just brushed over that then.
We all need to. Should we try and do it in unison, even though we're all on the internet?
I think we should. Ewanson.
Nick, you count us in.
1, 2, 3.
Ho, ho, ho.
Keane Bryan. That was horrendous.
Let's never do that again.
I wish I'd never brought that up. Anyway,
I wish you hadn't either.
Let's move on. Oh, God. So how much blame do you attach to the underperforming players, and who were the underperforming players?
Oh, big list that, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I would say we are where we are because of those players. End of the day, when you cross that white line, it's over to them. Wilder and Neil would have given their instructions, that they'll do due diligence with the team, and the players haven't performed. Obviously, one's been the main one's John Lundstram. I don't think we really need to discuss that. Ender has been a massive disappointment this year. I don't know what's happened to him. I mean, you can sort of say it's probably because Jock's not been alongside of him. But he's a big lad, he's professional. He's gonna adjust to that. It was a good job that Jimmy Fleck went back to Scotland because he wasn't very good, was he, for the first half? But yeah, on a serious note, Fleck sort of turned it around the second half of the season. Norwood, I don't know what to sort of say about him. I think haven't you, Nick? Defensively, he's been good at games of late, but he's not quite dictated the tempo in the middle of the pitch, and it's not been quite the same. But hopefully, he might come good. Mousse, you just can't get fit. I don't know what the lad does. I mean, he could have sort of saved us. He's got the ability. There's no doubt about that, and he's got speed, he's got strength. I mean, the way he put Phil Jones on his arse against Man U last season was fantastic, and we've missed that. And for whatever reason, we just can't get him fit. So, but I suppose in mitigation, given everything that's gone on for those underperforming players, you've had a once in a generation sort of pandemic that sort of screwed things up a little bit. We were always a team that were built on momentum as well. So having that sort of cut through when we're doing so well, obviously hasn't helped. So it was always difficult to recapture that. But yeah.
Just while we're talking about it as well, the pandemic, do we think that the players doing too much fitness? Because we saw that they had really, really difficult kind of fitness plans. Do we think that was part of why they didn't come back so strongly?
Well, you think they overdid it, Nick?
Yeah. I think a lot of people have said that in the past, that they've overdone it. And Aston Villa came back in, stayed up. We came back in. Aston Villa had done barely any running, apparently. We did lots, and we came back, and they physically looked shattered.
Yeah, and I saw like George Baldock like posting lots of him in abroad and stuff. I don't know where he was, but like proper hammering it with the fitness. And yeah, you may have a point there, Nick.
Ewan, thank you. You always speak so well. We really appreciate you for the Fans Forum. Thank you again. I'm sure we will have you on in the future, back on the channel again in some capacity. Thank you.
No worries. You're welcome, lads. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ewan. See you, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Always good to get you. And Arnie can often be seen as well when we do some of our special videos looking back, particularly after games. And he did a really good roundup, didn't he, Nick, recently? We had quite a lot of numbers in there.
Yeah, definitely. We were chatting about that off air, weren't we? How well he did. And it's great to see those stats because not a lot of people throw stats in there. It's all about a lot of people speak with their heart when they're talking about a club that we all love. But it's good to also see those stats thrown in there to kind of work out why something's gone one way or the other. So, yeah, it's brilliant to have you on.
Should we talk to Chris DeWick now?
I think we should.
I think it's only right. Chris,
Hello.
You've become a bit famous, mate, haven't you, with that picture of you and your dad?
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, really. I mean, ever since getting relegated from the Wolves, I mean, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, really.
just tell people who haven't seen it what it's all about.
So 14 years ago, when we got relegated at the hands of Wigan last time in the Premier League, I got snapped in the Star, and mine and my dad's picture, me crying and my dad holding on to me, sort of thing, trying to console me. And I thought maybe. All these years later, I thought, mate, let's recreate it. Why don't we? Just as a little bit of a joke, and all of a sudden, it's just taken off, and it's all over social media and everything. It's been brilliant. So yeah, it's been brilliant.
I loved it. I'm telling people, look, we've got him. We've got the famous one. He's coming on, right? So, Chris, I loved that, and I was crying as well that day. No shame.
Yeah.
No shame in your game. So what's been the main reason Sheffield United have been relegated this season, in your opinion?
I think the long and short of it has been injuries, and I do believe Jack O'Connell's probably been the key injury that we have mainly missed out on. I mean, if you think about it, we work off a system that's been made to baffle opponents with Jack O'Connell's runs that he makes down the left-hand side. And if you take away that key player that's making these baffling runs and to confuse the opponent's defenders, then you become a little bit more predictable. And then the players that we put in the positions to replace these injured players, they don't really understand the dynamicism and the intensity of how the system works, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, I think Jack O'Connell's been the key injury that's affected us and how our season's gone, really.
Do you know what I love about that? We've had 4 different people on, and 2 have said Jack O'Connell's a big deal, and 2 have said we can't blame that. So I love this. I love bringing fans on and having different opinions, because I'm guessing me and Hal would probably have the same opinion, knowing Hal for quite a bit of time now. What I wanted to do, Chris, was, for those that didn't know, I was scurrying away in the back trying to find this, and there it is. If anyone doesn't know, this is it. Let me see if I can go a bit closer. It is absolutely brilliant. Look at that. That is
the haircut hasn't really changed. I mean, I blame the missus for the haircut in the most recent one. She says I've got to have it like I did all them years ago, and it hasn't really done me any justice. So.
I'll tell you now, Nick and I would both kill for that hairline. So don't say anything bad about it. Nice one, Nick.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So, what have you made of the recruitment this season?
I don't think I don't think we've recruited as good as we could have done. I think it's been pretty poor in terms of recruitment. I mean, like Jack O'Connell's a key one. I mean, that's something that happened at the beginning of the season. You're thinking we really the gaps need to be plugged, and like we haven't done anything at the top of the pitch. If you look last season, we don't score. We didn't score enough goals at the top of the pitch. If you think about it, McGoldrick and McBurney only scored 6 goals individually between them. So we didn't go out and get an out goal scorer. And then January for me it were really disappointing. You're thinking we've got this far in the season and we're doing as poorly as we are. Just go out and do something. It's been a bit of a shambles to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And would you like to have seen more tactical variety throughout the season rather than sort of sticking with the 3-5-2 for so long? We have
been very, very tactically stubborn. With the injuries, I keep going back to injuries, but for me, it has been one of these that has set us on this disastrous course that we've been on right from the beginning of the season. But because of the injuries, we haven't really you think that we'd mixed it up a bit and at least changed it around, and but we've been putting players like Stevens at left back, sorry, left centre back, and it's just out of place. It's a bit of a mess, and it doesn't really it doesn't really suit it. It's been a strange one.
What I'd like to just bring up is the fact that Chris Wilder, what I loved about him at the start was the fact that he saw a position that we needed to strengthen and he bought that position. He was like, right, we don't want to be swapping and changing. And then as it's progressed, and obviously Jack O'Connell and Chris Basham have played those 2 roles excellently. Once one's gone, it's like, we're not going to buy someone for that role. It's kind of like, oh, he's a half decent left back, so maybe he can play left centre back. Like George Baldock playing right centre back. What is that all about?
Yeah.
So it's just
it's a mess. Yeah.
It is a complete mess. You bang on, mate. Bang on. So would you like to see a change going into next season, maybe formation wise or personnel?
I think there's this idea throughout the whole. It looks like while we've got Heckingbottom in at the moment, I think there's this idea throughout the whole club. We're kind of setting his ways with the whole 3-5-2. So I think if we did implement a new system, I think it would be a lot more refreshing. I'd like to throw Slavica Jokanović's name into ring here. I think the way he had Fulham playing football, front foot football like Wilder, attacking football, something similar, but maybe formation wise, probably a little bit different. I think with the 3-5-2, I think we were less dynamic going. We've been less dynamic going forward this season than we were last season, and it just seems to me as if teams have found us out, and we've been a bit sus this year. So I think next season, going into next season, I think something like a new formation, something like that, will be a lot more refreshing.
Before you go, Chris, do you want to give us, as we have been relegated this season, the famous pout?
Oh God!
There he is. It's infamous. It's Lad Bible-esque. Thank you very much, Chris Stewick. It's been a real pleasure having you on the Fans Forum, mate.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Chris.
Great guy. We've had some really good guests, Nick. I'm always bowled over by how good everyone is when they come on these things. They come on and they do us proud.
Yeah, we don't have bad guests, do we, mate?
Not yet. No pressure, Sam Hill.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Welcome, Sam.
That's Nick that threw you under the bus, not me. Let's make that clear.
Yeah,
Can you hear
sorry,
me?
Sam. So yeah, we can hear you now. So we're concerned after the 1920 season that the Blades were going to be poor up front going into this campaign.
Well, I mean, we didn't score a lot of goals last season, did we? I think was it 39, so just over one a game. Probably not the most ideal way, but obviously we were quite tight at the back, so I think we conceded the exact same actually. But obviously all of our goals were shared around by a few players. Obviously you had Fleck and Lundstrom. Am I allowed to mention his name? I think it's become more of a God's sake Lundstrom now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
We can talk about Lundstrom if you want.
No. So obviously we had goals coming from midfield. I think did Stevens weigh in with a couple as well as obviously the strikers.
Yeah, he got a couple.
He scored against Norwich and Brighton, didn't he, Stevens? And that Brighton goal of the season.
Goal of the season, yeah. And obviously we weren't fantastic after Project Restart, but we did still beat Chelsea, Tottenham, and Wolves. And maybe there was a little bit of a worry with the way we finished because we did lose 3 and only scored 1 goal. But I wasn't really that worried, and I don't think anyone could have predicted this season.
We certainly didn't, Nick, when we were looking at our pre-season predictions. Let's never dig those up again. But Sam, you've just sort of talked about it that, last season we didn't look particularly potent in attack. But why do you feel United have such an awful attack? Is it the players or is it the tactics?
I think we have had a number of issues up front and obviously in midfield. I think it is fair to say that Ollie Burke is not a great footballer, is he? He is your archetypal speedboat, no driver, I think.
We've definitely said that a few times, haven't we?
Well, I just want to make my opinion clear that I think he is a good footballer. I don't think he's a good striker.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure about that.
He's more of a winger.
Sure.
As Sam said, he's a winger, and we haven't given him the opportunity to play in that position. I think it's only fair to judge someone when we've seen them in their proper position.
He doesn't seem to have a lot of composure, though. I mean, his only league goal against Man U. I mean, granted, it was against Man U at Old Trafford, but it was a miss hit, wasn't it?
Twice.
Was it? It was going. It was going really slowly towards the keeper as well. Let's be honest.
He was, yeah. Obviously, Mousse and McBurney, they've not really had good seasons. Obviously, Mousse has been well documented. His fitness issues, his personal issues with his lovely car. I mean, and you've got Didsey, who has scored some decent goals, but he's been guilty of some glaring misses. I mean, Chelsea in the cup springs to mind on that one. And just maybe Brewster's not ready for this level. Yeah.
I think a lot of people agree with that, to be honest, Sam. I think he needs one more season in the Championship to prove himself because he had that half a season with Swansea, and then we were like, it was just like we weren't. I don't think we were expecting him to be like straight out of the traps, but I think we expect him to be a little bit kind of have more of an influence on the game, should I say?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure as well if we've just got too many strikers. With Wilder.
That's very Sheffield United, though, isn't it? If we go back to the Warner's days, we just collected strikers.
But Warner would collect strikers, but still play the same 2. Because I remember him bringing Horsfield in and just him not getting a look in. So I don't know because we've never really given like a partnership a chance to develop, have we?
No, we haven't. But at the same time, I understand why Wilder kept chopping and changing it because none of them were really pulling up any trees, were they? So it's like
I think we were crying out for it, Nick, weren't we? We kept saying, look, once it was clear we were going down, McBurney and Brewster, if that's who we've spent the money on, and it is, and they've both got that proven track record in the Championship, let's see what they play like together up front. And we did not see 2 games with those 2 starting up front together, and that's really strange.
But how can you say, David McGoldrick, sorry, you've been probably one of the best players this season.
Play him in the hole. Play him in
We
the
don't-
Duffy role.
They don't play that because we're too scared of getting hammered if we play 3 attacking players.
All right, yeah.
Come
so,
on, Hal,
I mean,
3 attacking players. We're Sheffield United.
I know. So we lose 3-0 instead of 1-0. I think it's worth trying. Just my
I agree.
thoughts.
I agree
Alright.
with you. I completely agree, but I know what our management team are like. Anyway, that's enough of me and Hal arguing. So if you had to pick a player of the season, who would you pick, Sam? And you can't pick 7.
You're not going
allowed
to
to pick 7.
pick Ollie Burke, obviously.
Well, to be fair, Jack O'Connell, because with every game he misses, he becomes a better player, doesn't he? Becoming more and more world class with every match he plays. I mean, there's a couple. I mean, I'd probably go with Ramsdale, to be honest. He had a poor start, but he got a lot better. And he's been keeping us in games this season. Probably between Ramsdale or Didsey, to be honest.
Yeah, put your player of the
For me.
season in the comments, please. Let's see if you agree with Sam. I happen to agree completely with what you've just said.
I don't think Nick did.
Nick?
There's a reason for it, because Hal's been banging the drum for Ramsdale to be the player of the season, but I just feel like it is the player of the season, not player of the half season.
We've had a
And I
terrible
feel-
season. So it's difficult to find someone who played consistently well all through the season.
David McGoldrick, he's played well in probably 70% of games, I would say.
I'll give you that. You know
Well,
I love
that-
Didsey. That shirt's got Didsey's name on the back.
And I know what you're saying, Hal, about giving Ramsdale a player of the year to boost his confidence.
He
But
needs it.
I still feel like the player of the season should be given to the player who's played the best.
I mean, it doesn't really mean a lot, as we've said in the past.
true.
It doesn't really mean a lot, but it would mean a lot to Aaron Ramsdale. That's why I think Rammers is the one that should get it. But, that's a separate argument, which we could have for quite a long time for a separate day. Sam, are the Blades in a strong position to bounce back straight away next season?
It depends, doesn't it, really, about whether we get a manager in sooner rather than later, I think. I think having no manager at the moment, or if it's going to be Heckingbottom, I think we need someone in to start planning for next season. Now we know we're down. The results don't really matter. Obviously, we don't want to get spanked every week. But yeah, I think we need to get a manager in. We need to put the building blocks in place. I'm guessing that we're going to play 3-5-2 because that seems to be the only way we can play now. And get and just get someone in there. I think because we did it when we went down with Bassett, I think, didn't we? Bassett was in charge for 10 or 15 games towards the end of the season, and he built the team up to that. And then the next season, we obviously got promoted again. So I think we would probably be well placed if we can do that.
Yeah,
it's a good point. It's a good point that because if you did bring somebody in, it could work both ways. It's like bringing the youth through. You're either going to finish well, and then it gives you that bit of confidence going into next season, or you can finish terribly and it can completely knock you for 6. So
yeah,
we don't know.
We just don't know. That's the thing. The only thing we know is we don't know.
I want to ask you a quick question, Sam. Who do you think we could lose this season? Whether it be a player that's wants to leave, or someone's going to come in and buy?
I think if Swansea go up, they might come back from McBurney. I think he's not had the greatest season, but he did fit in at Swansea.
Nick would drive him to Wales himself.
Imagine Swansea buying Brewster and McBurney.
Depends how much money they're talking. I mean, for us to recoup what we spent on those two is probably not going to happen.
No, definitely not. How much do we think they're worth at the moment?
McBurney's worth 5 million, and Brewster, from what we've actually seen, I daren't say what I'm thinking.
250 grand. So
I daren't say because I think he's going to come. Exactly.
Yeah. They are both young. I think we'll probably lose Berger, although he's not really. It seems to have all gone downhill ever since Berger came in, really.
That's actually true. And, there's obviously it's a bit of a conspiracy theory that, but, Sander Berger will only leave for big money. He left Champions League football to join United. He's been linked with Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool, and Aston Villa, which I think would be one we struggle to swallow as Blades fans seeing him go there. But he will go for big money if he goes. And actually, I don't think there'd be a single Blade if the kind of figures that Nick and I have heard off air to be believed, there won't be a single Blade that would actually have a problem with that, even though we love him.
Yeah.
I know, 120 million. We've got to slap our hand off, haven't we?
Put it this way, it's going to be significantly the most money Sheffield United have ever sold a player for, by 5 times. So it's going to be a lot of money because that's what United have said is the kind of minimum they will consider for Sander Berger. So it's an eye-watering amount of money. So that's the only positive we got there. His value has increased because a bit like O'Connell, the less he plays, the better he's got. Sam, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Sam. See you, mate.
Nick, before we go, I think there's a few things we should cover. The under-23s want to say congratulations. The PDL North champions, the greatest teams on earth we now know are as follows. Brazil, 1970. Nottingham Forest, the 77-78 side, they were invincible. Arsenal were, of course, invincible 03-04. And the Sheffield United under-23s side currently.
Yeah, absolutely. No one can disagree with that, surely.
No one will disagree with that. Also, do pop in the comments if you actually enjoy these kind of fans forums and if you'd like to be on future ones. One thing we'll just also quickly touch on as well. Transfer target, Johnson Clark-Harris, a 26-year-old striker from Peterborough, is one we are looking at. He got 29 goals in 43 appearances for the Posh. Last season, 24 in 42 for Bristol Rovers. Similar to Ivan Toney, do you think, Nick? Maybe the next Toney? He's only 1 year older.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say Ivan Toney. Yeah, but some fans were saying, "Oh, we should have signed Ivan Toney instead of Bruce." And it's like you don't know how a player's going to jump up 2 divisions. It's hard enough jumping up 1 division, but obviously Ivan Toney smashed it. But if he'd have come to the Premier League and played in our side, I can't see us doing any good for him, to be honest. But exciting because we ain't got enough strikers, have we?
We ain't got enough strikers that score goals. This guy sounds like he can score goals. Sheffield United famously don't sign strikers that can score goals. So it would just be nice to actually have one. There's been 1 or 2 and we've taken them all to our hearts and they've become legends. Speaking of goals, Derby scored 20 goals in their historically bad season. We've scored 18. So we need 3 to beat that unenviable record. Nick, yes or no, are we going to?
I don't think we're going to beat it, but I think we might equal it. Can't see where the goals will come from, mate. I really, really can't because we scraped through against Brighton. So, I don't know, mate. I don't know. We'll probably go and beat Tottenham 3-0 now.
I'd like that. Hey, imagine that. That's kind of last season talk. That's crazy talk. So we're in this season. We just talked last season. Next season, a weak championship next season, Nick, as you look at the sides that are going to be leaving it, and you look at the sides, of course, that are in the Premier League now, Aston Villa, which were in the championship when we were there. Not more kind of concerns because massively affected by COVID, the championship. It doesn't have the money, it doesn't have the pull anymore, and United will have 3 years of parachute payments, that first year being the most as we go down. Yes, we might have to sell some players. Yes, Sander Berger might go for 60 million or whatever, but do you think actually it's possibly the weakest championship that we'll have seen for many years?
Yeah, I think it's probably the best time to be relegated. I know there's never a good time to be relegated, but it is. All the championship clubs have been affected by COVID. Obviously, we have as well. But like you say, with those parachute payments and the amount of sponsorship we've been given and the TV money, it's just we're in a great position, and we just need to make that the right appointment as manager, and we should be fine. Look at what happened this season with, like you say, with Watford, with Norwich, and then Bournemouth are doing well as well. So all 3 teams that went down are looking like they could all go back up. You never know. So fingers crossed, we'll be kind of emulating that next season.
And Danny Marshall's asked a question. We'll leave this here. Do you want Wednesday to stay up for a derby next season? Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't. But not just because of the derby. I hate the derby. I used to love the derby as a kid, but it just fills me with dread every time we play Wednesday. And it seems like it's always a bloody draw. So unless somebody could say we're going to beat Wednesday 5-0 both times next season, then I'll happily bring it on. But if not, no, it's not for me. And not just that, the fact that Wednesday was so far behind everybody. If they get out of this, they're not going to let us forget it. What about you?
Literally everything you just said, I concur fully. You are speaking the sense. Thank you very much for joining us. Please don't forget to like this video. And if you enjoy this sort of content, please share this online. Tell your Blades mates and help us grow the channel. We are already the largest Sheffield United fan channel on the internet.
In the world.
Well, we are, yeah. But we want to reach even more people, so help us achieve that. We have videos on our channel for you to enjoy at your leisure, such as player interviews. The latest one is Paul Pesky-Salido. Oh, my God. Match reactions. And my personal favourite, the watch-alongs. There's lots of people I know that haven't given those a try yet. Everyone who has just keeps on coming back. Also, let us know in the comments what you'd like to see from us in the future. Pop those on the comments for the video after it's finished being live, what you would like to see us do in the future, and we will try to do it.
Absolutely. Any sort of video title ideas that you've got, send them us on social media, in the comments, wherever you want. We will assess them, chat about them, and then say, nah, they're a load of rubbish. We're not doing that. So that's funny message. Yeah, like Hal said, subscribe, like the video, and we will see you next time.